Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host Josiah, aka Muller67, and with me, as always, you know, I got my buddy, and I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Been doing pretty good. Hey, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, not too bad.
So yeah, how's your week, man?
It's been busy.
Anything fun or interesting happen?
Not really. I've just been really busy mostly, just work.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
work.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
A lot of work. And then just like constantly just relaxing, chilling, getting stuff done around here. Cause since it's getting like warmer, we had to like clean up the backyard and everything because we're getting ready. We had like a movie night on Friday night out back. We had a fire and we watched a movie with mom, and it's pretty much just hung out. So it's been pretty chill weekend so far.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but that just I don't know, just been kind of worn out most of the time. Like I fell asleep yesterday at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, I was
woke
there
up
with
at,
you,
like,
man.
10. And then I was like, oh man, I gotta be at work at 6 a.m. Because I took like a 4-hour shift today. And then I was like, oh, I can't sleep.
That's not great.
So
No
I
one
was
likes
like,
that.
taking a melatonin. So I took one melatonin and I was gonna go. So I was like, and I passed out and went to work. And then I came home and I was like, man, I really don't know what I'm gonna do today. And then I just ended up doing laundry. I started rewatching Game of Thrones just because,
Ooh.
terrible. Just because I am reading the books now.
Okay.
So like I was like, okay. So I just got done with book 1. I just finished that.
Okay. It's basically a 1-for-1 to season 1 / half of season 2.
Yeah, it's
That's the thing I explained to everyone. I'm like, look, if you watch the first season and a half, you could basically jump into book 2 and understand the most, because I'm trying to remember what all characters they cut out of the first book outside of like Jane Poole, who you would have to read the first book in order to understand. I think they introduced because Robert's not dead until the end of the book. So
wait, no,
Robert's 2 kids.
No. They I was gonna say Robert dies like maybe I think close to the end of the book, but he's still,
but
like,
that's
like
what I'm saying.
8
Like
hour...
it's still fresh that Joffrey hasn't been like queued out as like, hey, this person's actually not his son type deal thing. And so you don't have like it's Gendry in the show, but Robert has another one that takes Storm Landing with like Stannis and everything. He's holding it there, and he got cut out of the show, and his story got interloped with Gendry in the show. But in the book, they're 2 different people.
Yeah, that's true.
And then like those are the ones that I'm like, I don't think that they're introduced in the first book. So outside of Jane Poole and maybe like 2 or 3 other characters. And to be fair, I will also say this: the book is great just for the sheer fact that you have a much better Daenerys storyline with like all of her stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you could, if you watch the show and then read the book, you're going to be spending a lot of the time being like, wow, this is exactly what happened in the show. This is exactly what happened in the show. Oh, that's different. This is exactly what happened to the show. Yeah. And
yeah, like that's why I was like, you know what? I'll just rewatch it just to see what I can tell is the difference. And then I was like, oh, well, book 1 is kind of the same. Like I just got to like in season 2, I just got to the part where they are trying to hunt down Arya Stark because they're going to try to use her as leverage to get Jaime back. But then they end up showing to the camp and they're looking for Gendry because Cersei like does that.
Yeah, she's doing the whole
to kill all those bastards. Yeah. So yeah.
Which should have been like that should have been the red flag there for everyone, like she wants to kill all these sons of Robert. Supposed, not even just like real, just supposed. Sus. That's why I say like Robert should have went the way of Magar, one, not Magar, but like Aegon the something, one of the Aegons, like the one who caused the Blackfire Rebellion. He should have just done that and just said, screw you guys. Because, like, what he did is he legitimized all of his kids, half and real, on the spot as he died. And then that's what started the Blackfire Rebellion. Because the Blackfires were just his sons who's like, we have claim to the throne. We have Dark Sister. What do you have? The throne itself? Ha, we can fix that. But, like, Robert could have done that, and then Stannis would have had real claim. And all that stuff. Like, it would have been more of a mess, and it would have caused the whole place to go into war much faster. But it would have been funny to see, knowing
That,
with
like,
what the story is, you know.
That and what's really interesting is like sometimes I like play these like things in my head when I watch like a show that I've watched before, and then I know the outcome to things. I'm like, what if this actually became something? And like the part like in the show and in the book where, you know, Rob is crossing the Trident and he needs to talk to Walter Frey. And Walter Frey gives him that, you know, he's like, hey, you know, like Arya's got to marry my son and then you have to marry my daughter. I was like, what if that ever just became true? Like they did that. Would the Red Wedding really happen?
It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened.
And
the whole
like,
reason why the Red Wedding even happened was because Rob did what he did. And through his alliance with Walter Frey under the door, which Walter Frey was already like, I'm not going to try hard to do anything unless you're fully committed to like basically making my family part of the king. And if he would have actually went through with all that stuff, he wouldn't have made the deal with the Lannisters, and they probably would have taken most of Westeros, if not the whole thing, all dependent on Stannis. Like if Stannis was, they got Jaime out of the grounds was a big win, and then all they had to do was take out not Stannis, but what the freak is Jaime's dad's name? Tywin, thank you, Tywin Lannister. Yeah. All that was in my head was Baratheon at the end, so I'm like, Stannis, Renly is Baratheon? No, those aren't right. Yeah, they take out Tywin and they would have won. Like they had no one else that was even remotely good.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been rewatching those just to catch up on what I missed with the book. I just started Clash of Kings. I think that's the second book. I just started that one not even like a couple hours ago. Like I was just bored. You know, I'd be cleaning and then I'll like listen to it and then I'll be like, oh, okay. You know, I'll clean and do other things while I'm listening to my stuff, you know, and so I'm like, oh, okay. So it just gives me something to do. I've been kind of doing that and then you know, just that's it. I haven't really been doing too much.
Cool.
You know.
No, that's good, man.
Yeah, because you guys been playing Monster Hunter.
The crap out of Monster Hunter. And Austin, I'll tell you this, man. I like the game.
It's fun.
I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter. This is probably my least favorite on-release Monster Hunter because there's just they went too much in the like, wow, look at this, look how it interacts, and not in the like the hunts. I'm part of the minority that says like I actually personally Rise is my favorite Monster Hunter. Rise and Sunbreak combined were my favorite Monster Hunter series. No other Monster Hunter series kept me playing that game until the expansion came out. Like that's how long I was playing Rise. And then when Sunbreaker came out, I 100%ed that baby, which I didn't really do in any game prior to that. This game, I'm almost at 100 HR, and I'm like, it's fun. I'm enjoying myself when I'm playing with friends, but there's nothing that really like grips me to continue after that, which is fine, you know, like I got some good hours out of it, like a fraction as much as the other games. And I think that's where some of the fans are kind of upset, because it's like they're used to dropping hundreds of hours into a game. And Terry, by this Wednesday, he's already up to our same HR and everything. Like that's how quickly he got through everything. And it's like, is that worth $70? Who knows? I'm like, I'm sure it will get better with the title updates and the expansions. But what happened with Worlds with me is I waited for maybe 1 or 2 title expansions. I played them when they came out, and then the game just fell off, and I started playing my party games with everyone else. And the issue right now with Monster Hunter is that I really want to play Repo, man. I keep seeing videos of that, and I'm like, that.
Are you talking about Repo?
Yeah, that's what I just said, Repo.
Oh yeah. I put that on my list today
Yeah,
because I saw like a bunch of stuff about it. And
I've been seeing videos
Lethal
of
Company.
it. Yeah, it's Lethal Company, just a little more like, I don't know, like it's kind of cartoonier. Though Lethal Company is pretty cartoony, but the graphics are different. But yep. But we'll get to that at some point. Austin, speaking of getting to that at some point, let's go ahead and start talking about our show. We're like 12 minutes in, and
and talking about everything else.
Well, it's because I can sit here and talk about Game of Thrones, even though I haven't like read or digested any of the stuff in years. My knowledge is kind of like I remember most of the stuff, but then I'm getting certain bits of it like kind of either not fully correct or incorrect, and so I'm like, I need to brush up just to be sure. But I have no reason to until Duncan and Egg comes out, and then I'll be excited for Game of Thrones again. Austin, we watched The Good Place season 3. We watched 1 and 2 already. This is the 3rd season of it. Austin, what did you think of The Good Place?
Well, I will say this though about The Good Place. This season was okay. It was okay. I'm to a point right now with The Good Place where I think I'm a little burnt out. I don't know. I don't know how I feel with it. Like, okay. There's some great episodes and I really enjoy it, but I'm also to a point where it's getting just getting annoying to me a little bit. Where it's the same premise in a way. But it still is being fresh. Like, it's still something that's entertaining enough that I'll watch it. It's just I'm kind of like, how long can this be drawn out again to like redo? Because like, the ending of the season was like them like, oh, we're gonna give you permission to like do this again, and I kind of got the gist. It's different. It is different. It's like seeing if you can make humans better in a way. But how they selected them, like I just rolled my eyes a little bit because I was like, oh, of course it's gonna be like, there's a catch, like, Oh,
of course. Whenever they said that the bad place got to choose the people, I'm like, I know what's going to happen. Like, they know everything. They're going to purposely try stacking it against them.
But like, also what I've been told about like people that do watch the show, they said that season 3 was the season that they didn't care too much for, which I totally understand. I was okay with it. Like, it wasn't anything that like I had to like. It wasn't like this show to me isn't like a show where like I'll sit down and I watch and I binge it. It's more of like I'll watch an episode here, I'll watch 3 episodes here, I'll watch an episode here, I'll watch an episode here. It's not like something that's like drawing me to keep watching it. And like, it's because like, I don't know. I think it's just how the comedy works on this show. Like, there's some good parts and then there's some like, ridiculous parts. I will say this. The girl that plays, I forget her name in the show. The Julia, or is it Julia? The robot girl.
Oh, Janet.
Okay. I will say this. That episode with Janet playing the whole cast.
Yeah.
That episode should have gotten an Oscar because she did really well and she didn't phone any of that in. And I think she should have won like maybe something like a Tony Award or whatever the heck it's called, Academy Award for the show. I really enjoyed that episode. I thought that episode was really funny just because like she got everyone down. Like when she did Jason, I just like started laughing because I was like, okay, yeah. Like, it's pretty easy to do Jason, but how she did Jason, I really enjoyed it.
What I did like about her, like, doing that is that she was very much working on everyone's, like, inflections and whatnot as, like, some form of a impersonator type deal thing. Like, she has, like, knowledge of that, I guess. I think the only one I didn't feel was actually... like she was mimicking great was Chidi's character. Because like whenever she talked to him, I'm like, the thing that's giving me the Chidi vibe is just the fact that she's like, oh, stomach ache. But it's like he hasn't been like complaining about his stomach ache for a while, so I feel like that's just more of a I can't get into this character, so I'm going to do this representation. I will say the Jason, and as well as I think the Tahani was pretty good too. But it made me wonder. Anytime I see shows like that where they do like the episode where, like one person mimics everyone, I always wondered if like they had the cast on scene with them, and they would act out what they would do, and then she just replicates what they did. You know? I'm just never sure. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, it's like I'm thinking about the show a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the show. I don't. It sounds like to me you really like the show. Do you enjoy the show a lot?
I think the show's good. So here's the thing, right? I think like the premise in the first season was great. I think the rehash of season 2 and how they kind of flipped it was good. Season 3, I liked where they went, actually. I liked what they tried to do and how, because like up to me, I thought it was going to be like a twist after twist after twist every season. Like that's what they were going to do. Because the end of the first one was a nice twist. It was predictable, but it was nice, right?
Yeah.
And then season 2's twist of them being like, we're going to get the heck out of here. We messed up really poorly and we're breaking all these laws. I thought it was going to be Michael's like torment, but it's like, no, Michael is actually who he says he is, I guess. And they escape to Earth and they get them to like resurrect them essentially to try out something differently. Yeah. And I like the whole season 3 being like the counter thing of like, hey, the point system doesn't make sense logistically. And then like their explanation for how like, oh, well, you know, back in the day when you have a tomato, you only saw it as I grew this tomato or I got it from this local farm. I did good. But then like, they're like, yeah, nowadays there's so many hands into everything that you grew this tomato with pesticides that did this and the soil that did that and the seeds that came from this, and they like reach it out as like this code thing of like, you can't be good because of what you made this decision on, profit and helped all these other things, so you are immorally incapable of being good. And I like there's a point of that when you're looking at it in the form of a supercomputer, right, who's able to calculate up to like 17 digits long, and you're like, I need pi, and you get pi of 3.14, right, and you're just like, yeah, but the calculator is like, well, that's not actually 3.14, it actually goes farther than that, let me show you. It feels like Afterlife's calculations are trying to expand. The longer the world goes on, the bigger that number gets. But what they should be only calculating is that first 3 digits. Like, you chose a good option versus the bad option, you get points. And it's funny to me that like everyone he's talking to does not understand that.
Well, take for instance the whole Chuck episode.
Yeah,
well, like that episode, I laughed so hard when he showed up on screen, but then I forgot the first episode I ever watched was that episode. I watched that episode with my wife during, I think it was COVID, or like during around when we were having COVID. She was watching the show and I was like, hey, it's Chuck. And she was like, who's Chuck? And I was like, how dare you? You know, because at the time she never watched Better Call Saul with me. But that episode defined why, you know, you could do all this great stuff, but deep down, you shouldn't belong in the good place.
Well, like it's a dumb take, and it's a crazy thing, you know. Like, at what point? I thought what they were going to find out is like at some point doing the good thing can actually be the bad thing because you're enabling the bad things, right? And I thought that's what they were going to go with whenever they got to heaven and they see that all the like the heavenly people are like, yeah, we're going to fix this by doing the correct procedures and all this stuff. It's like you're enabling all this bad to happen. You don't belong in the good place either. You know, like I thought that's what they were going to go to, where it's like you're judging people based upon their inability to change things. Meanwhile, you're saying that you can't change things because there's a procedure. Also, I don't know when this season came out, but this straight up felt like a dig to like Republicans and Democrats, where Republicans just kept like doing whatever they want, and the Democrats are like, no, we have to work and get people to vote and do this. It's like, y'all just don't do jack. And it's like, well, they're doing everything by procedures, and that's why they're not doing jack, because the other team don't care about procedures. It was something that as I was watching, I'm like, I feel like this is a dig at them because of how they're wording certain things.
It is.
And it was, I mean, the show came out, that was around 2019, so that's like right at the hump of Trump.
I think this came out in 2021.
Oh, did season 3 came out?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was like 2021, 2022 when the season came out. I don't remember.
I think
that's
it came out. So it started coming out in 2016, and there's 4 seasons. And the last season it says was in 2020.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was digging at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of wording differently in there, and you're like, "Yep, this is just digging at both."
Just how they said certain things, just it made my head kind of like, oh, I'm catching these little statements.
Well, especially the council. The council was very.
Yeah, season 3 came out. Original release was in September 2018.
Oh wow.
And ended in July 2019.
Oh wow.
So it was right at the height of that presidency, which that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny to me that I was catching all that. And then also the workspace that they had, that made me laugh a lot, you know, because it's like, we're in accounting. We're just, you know, we're doing the numbers, we're doing the stuff. We can't really figure out stuff. I did enjoy the one guy who just was like the registered like sex stuff of the group, and his paperwork keeps getting bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah. And
it's like, yeah, because people are deprived due to the internet. And then whenever he's like, I need a pay-per-click quick, and he looks at me, he's like, what are you going to do with it? That made me laugh. Like, that was a good joke. I liked it. There was a lot of good laughs to me that I did enjoy.
I also think that the storyline with Jason this season was really sad.
With his dad.
Yeah, that was rough.
I mean, you know, but that scene where he's like, you gotta go, I'm going to distract them. It's like, what? Yeah. He's like, because that's what my dad did for me. And one day when you have little kids, that's what you're going to do for them. He's like, I hope not, but dang.
Yeah, it's like, don't much like him.
Yeah,
you find out like there's like a wheel there, and it's like constantly he's like, oh well, you could just have fun until like, you know, it's your time to go, and it's like, no. And then I think like him doing that is like breaking the wheel for him, being like, hey, you know, like, stop this, you know, you can be the person that stops.
His kids aren't going to have to steal because they have all that money now.
Yeah,
they literally he got married to Tahani before they all died. Yeah. So all that money is going to Jason's kids, except I don't think Jason has any kids. So like, I guess the money is going to either go to Tahani's sister or to Doug. Doug and Peach Dude or whatever his name is. I didn't remember his friend's name because I was also confused. I'm like, is that his brother or is that his friend?
I don't know.
Because I don't know either. I'll be honest here. We're picking up your Sydney.
Hey, we're picking up her phone call. Yeah, that sounds good. Who are you talking? Oh, cool. Well, you know, we're on the podcast and we're picking up phone calls. Does everyone want to hear the juicy tea? No,
I was like over here just being like, okay, I hear Sydney,
I heard it too. Yeah.
But your room is kind of dark. so I didn't see her, and I'm just here. I'm like,
she's in the
is
back
she
of you.
like, is she next to you? And you're just like being like, oh, I'm not going to mute my microphone. Like, I'm like, what's happening here? Do you hear this? Like, I thought I was going crazy.
No.
Especially since I'm like, I don't know this. And then she's like, I don't know either. And I'm like, oh God, this is the stroke. I'm going out.
I smell burnt toast.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to the good place.
Okay.
Um,
I hear a phone ringing and I think it's Satan. Yeah. But no, like, the thing is, like, I liked what they did with this season. I did. I like the idea of them being on Earth, doing Earth stuff. I liked the fact that, like, once they find out the truth about the end, like, the other place, they can no longer do good. Because, like, it doesn't make sense, you know? It doesn't seem right.
no.
Because, like, even like Tahani's just like, I'm going to do good just for the sake of doing good, because I know I'm not going to, it's not going to matter for me in the end, so I'm just going to do good. And it's like, that should negate the fact that she knows how it ends, because she's not doing it because she's trying to get to good, but she's doing it because she knows, like, it doesn't matter to me, so I'm just going to help people the best I can. Makes no sense. Like, the point system and all that stuff makes no sense, and I'm glad that they, like, figured out why it makes no sense and how it could not make sense. I also did love the fact that they showed the first original point value system in Death, where he's like, Grog gave Rock to Bob, or whatever the caveman's name was, 10,000 points instantly. Granted, he lost 9,999 when Bob used that rock to kill his whole family, but it's just funny because it's like, yeah, the original death, the original sin, I guess, was hilarious to me. But no, I also liked how casually they just murdered everyone in the one episode, where it's just like, okay, if we go onto our place, you all will be dead here on Earth. Like, wait, what? And then they just did that. I'm like, what was the point then? That whole thing was them fighting to stay on Earth, and then it's just like, and we're done. Also, the lack of people, the lack of the good place people, or even the judge caring that the bad place made their own portal is hilarious to me. Like, they're just like, we're just mad that you kidnapped these 4 people and, like, have been moving around and all that stuff. Let's not think about the fact that we had, like, literal army of demons coming to Earth and with an unregistered portal. Yeah, and causing it. Like, Vampire the Masquerade would be freaking out over a masquerade breach like mad. But no, like, I understand you not liking the show as much. I do enjoy the show. I think the show's good. I binged most of it this weekend. Like, I watched, I think it was episode like 3 to like 11 all in one go, just because I was enjoying the premise of the show. I think what may be getting boring to you, Austin, and this was something I was kind of realizing as I was watching it, is the characters have not progressed.
Yeah, they have not.
The show is progressing, but the characters are not, because they keep getting reset, and the plots are always the same. You know, like the first season was Eleanor and Chidi, Jason and Tahani / Janet, and it's like that's like the makeup, right? And then Michael trying to get things to be right,
like fix it, yeah. And
then, like, that was the same thing in season 2, same thing in season 3. And it's funny that the dynamics is still Janet loves Jason, Jason loves Janet, Tahiti feeling alone, and then Eleanor liking Chidi, but Chidi not really liking her, and then he does, and then it's the same story each 3 seasons. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're doing that on purpose. Maybe they're going to do like some form of like a story explanation or like a nice cap on that. But like, the fact that they only gave back Eleanor's memories made it a little more like, I don't know. You ever played the Danganronpa games?
No, I've heard of them though.
Okay. In the Danganronpa games, each of the games you begin without your character's memories, like they don't remember how they got there and whatnot, and you basically like do things, and as the game progresses, you remember things again. In one of the games, one of the characters remembers their memories, and it completely like shifts everything, and they start acting a lot weirder or different. Oh yeah, it was. I think it was the first game. They remember things again, and they start doing things that causes them to commit murder. Blah blah blah, blah and plot a game. But having one character remember and then having everyone else not remember, and then that one character being the main character, it's weird. It's different. I don't know. I still like it. Like I said, man, I still liked it. I enjoyed the show. I can't wait to finish it. I'm excited to finish it. Because I know a lot of people said they stick the landing really good on season 4. And I'm interested on how they stick the landing here.
So I got a confession.
You got a confession to make.
I know how this ends because I got spoiled, and I didn't even know I was getting spoiled. And it was because of TikTok.
Okay.
So I know the ending of the show just because I was watching Jeopardy clips.
Okay.
And it was like, this is how it ends. And like, you know, it was like, like for 200, blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, these 4 people and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, uh-oh. And then it was like The Good Place. And I was like, oh man, I know the ending. Just because I didn't know that was going to be The Good Place.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I kind of know now. So I know how the ending is. I'm not going to say anything about it. But I don't know how it ends. Like, I don't know the build up for it. All I know is like, I got spoiled for the ending because of a stupid TikTok Jeopardy. But I will say this about the show. I will say one thing. I can see why a lot of people like this show, and especially how it really worked on network television, because it's something that it's, man, I really don't want to say it, but it's something like a television show that should be made for network television. It feels like network television. Like, it's not over analyzing too much, but it also is giving enough of that feel of, hey, this has the potential of being a good show. But maybe you are right. Maybe that's why I don't like the show too much, because there is no character development. There is some, but there's not a lot of it.
Well, it's the same character development redone each season.
Yeah,
and the only overarching character development is more Michael's character development.
Yeah,
but even his character development is not development in the way of him being like he became a better person, and now he's still trying to fix things. He's just trying to fix it for a different reason now. But I don't know. We'll see, because I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. I think personally, Austin, I don't think the show strikes me as that like time error, while even like NBC, ABC, Fox, and all that stuff was trying to make TV shows that were more like episodic, like, because of the successes of like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, insert all other like TV shows, because like this was, I was under the impression that this was pitched to me as a sitcom. But sitcoms to me don't have such a driven story for a whole season.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch season 1 and then watch a random episodes from season 3, you're going to be very, very confused, and nothing's going to make any sense. I was under the impression that sitcoms were specifically created and made to like be picked up at any episode, so they could keep rerunning it over and over and over again. I could be 100% wrong, but that's just what I thought it was. And so whenever I watch this, I'm like, I would get frustrated if I'm watching this show and suddenly like I'm watching a season 3 episode and freaking like I find out that they were in the bad place the whole time, and I was like, what the heck? I never knew that. Oh, that sucks. It was like a show that you had to watch weekly, and maybe that was the intention of it, and I just wasn't there present for it, so I just didn't get that concept. 100% possible, but I don't know. But I'm still excited, Austin. I'm still excited. I think it's going to end good. I enjoy the cast.
I don't think that, like, here's the thing that I will say about this.
Mhm.
With sticking the landing, that's what I really want for this show. It doesn't mean that I don't like the show. It is entertaining at some points. I do have high points of this show. I think some of the comedy is very funny. Some of like the one-liners I think are hilarious. But the thing is it just, that show, it like makes me, I don't know, it feels like I have to drag myself through it, even though I know that there's good episodes. It's just, I'm not like wanting to like keep watching it. Like, it just doesn't drive me to keep watching it. It's not like, hey, you know, it's not like like Invincible or anything else where I'm like, I have to keep watching it. Have to keep watching it. Like, sometimes I find myself where I'm like trying to binge it really fast because I'm trying to get it over with. But I can understand why it's a network television show. I understand why some people, you know, they're used to network television. This is how network television works. It is a little bit better than network television, I will say that. But even the shows that I watch that are on network television, I totally understand why people don't like them. And I'm like, I'm totally get that. I will say, this cast is really well done. It does have a good cast. Because, you know, what was it? Ted Danza does great. I think he's a good cast. I don't like Kristen Bell too much, but she is tolerable in this show. I actually enjoy her character more than anyone else in the show. Eleanor, the girl that plays Eleanor. You know, so like there is some, you know, good things that are from this show. And I like some of the storylines that they went with, but I just think I'm stuck on just, there's no development there. So then I just sit there and I'm like, I don't feel like I want to watch it anymore because of that. So it's probably a show for me where like, I'm glad I watched it, but it's not a show I'll keep, you know, I'll like rewatch it all the time. So, you know, we'll see. I want to see how the ending works. I really think that, here's the thing. If a show is that good and they can stick an ending, like I've seen some shows that are great, but then they ended too abruptly and they ended it really good. And
we've seen a couple shows already in our podcast where it's like they do a great job through the whole show and then they end the show kind of like half-heartedly or very poorly. And it kind of like ruins the vibe of the show. I mean, you were mentioning Game of Thrones, like that's the truth of Game of Thrones. And so like that's just the truth of it. Also, I'm like, I'm okay with you having like the mid-core vibes towards it, because I'm like, that's reasonable. Like you know what I kind of compared this show to? I compared this show to a side of a like dinner plate, right? It's not the show that I'm like waiting for to watch at the end of the day. It's the show that comes on before the show I really care for. And because it comes on, it gets me warmed up, it gets me going. I enjoy the show. I want to support the show and have fun with the show. And then once I'm done with the show, and then the next show that I really want to see comes on, they prep me, I'm ready to go, I'm excited, and it's even better. Like, it is a good show with a side of another show. And maybe some people won't like that comparison because they're like, it's a great show, it's just great on its own. I'm like, it is, it's 100%. But for some people, it's not the same like vibe. Like, if I watch this show and then afterwards the next episode was like a Community show, they give me like close to similar vibes, except I like Community a little more because I enjoy the characters a little more, because there's a lot of depth to those and changes of characters. But then like the third show that comes out better be a big slam dunk, or else those two shows got wasted on nothing.
Yeah, like it kind of makes me feel like a show that like everyone told me to watch, and it was on network television, and it was huge. It was a big popular show. Like two shows I remember that were big popular, and I was just not a fan of them. That was Big Bang Theory and Modern Family. Like those two, people were like, oh my gosh, you would love these. And I've watched them and I'm like, I just don't like them. Like, it's just nothing against it. It's a great show. Great. People love it. I'm cool with that. But it's just not my cup of tea. And The Good Place is kind of like that right now, where it has its moments, but it's not something where I'm like, I want to keep driving myself to keep watching. Like, if this had 8 seasons, I would stop. Like that, like after season 3, like this season, I would have been like, I'm done. But I will say this. I'm gonna watch season 4. And I think that if they end it exactly how they should, then it's appropriate for like how many seasons they should have. Because I don't know how long you could keep doing the same thing where you're clearing people's memory without character development. It gets to a point to me like I'm already bored of it. Like I'm just like, hey, you know, they're resetting them. Okay, now they're like not resetting them. Oh, they're gonna try to find something about this and this and this and this, and it drives me a little crazy. Like I maybe it's my ADHD or something, but like it's just it doesn't. I don't know it.
I get you. I get you. Because it was something that like the more I watched it, the more I realized I'm like, it's the same storylines for each person, just done in a different way. Tahani is still dealing with her sister, like living in her shadow. Jason still is, I guess, dumb. Like that's just his thing, I guess. Eleanor is like trying to be a better person. She likes Chidi. Chidi is trying to like figure out how to be a good person. Like
it kind of
it's
that kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of how you think Always Sunny in Philadelphia is, where like those people never learn. Like they never really develop as a character. They're just stupid. Like so, like I totally understand where you're coming from now when you say that. I'm like. I totally get
Except
that.
you know the difference between that show and this show, Austin?
What?
Is these people aren't choosing to be reset. They're well, I mean, I guess Chi just chose, but
Yeah, that's right.
they're not.
He chose because he gets rid of Eleanor.
Yeah, well, he couldn't remember, so that way he wouldn't remember the one girl that he
oh yeah,
dated, which I thought was the stupidest thing in the world. I was like, the second he's like, you have to erase my memories of her because I'm going to affect the thing.
I felt that was a little rushed. Like I felt like he just like went into that decision. He didn't think about it at all.
No, it sounded like he was like emotionally torn by it, but it was like you dated her for I guess in the show they said it was like 2 years. I guess they were dating for 2 years. I can understand that, but like. You kind of have to be a better person. Like if you date someone and then like you being around them is like, I can't exist, I can't function. It's like, bro, you need to like go to therapy or something like that, because I get that like sometimes people break your heart or whatnot, or you break their heart and you feel bad about it, but you have to learn to like change, grow, and like fix those issues. And it just, I get the plot of the story. They want to like do a different take where like Chidi doesn't remember and Eleanor is going to like effectively break him and like ruin the experiment by like getting Chidi to like come to her again or something like that. Like that's probably what they're going to do. I could be wrong. I've been wrong to the show a lot actually. It's just, I don't know. It's just something. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I'm excited. I will say my favorite character of this whole show is Janet. Janet is my favorite character, 110%. Really been enjoying the heck out of her, and so I can't wait to see more Janet and maybe a little bit smarter Jason at some point, but probably not. All right,
that's the only character I really hate.
You hate Janet? How could you?
Jason.
Jason literally had no character development through any of the seasons. Like, what's his big issue? He's dumb.
He's dumb. He's an idiot.
Is that a good reason for someone to go to the bad place? Apparently, because it doesn't matter if you understand the choices you make, only that you make those choices. Which is a counter argument to the thing the judge says in the thing where she's like, if they should have chose a different demand. They knew the choice they made. Well, Jason doesn't understand the choices he makes. He's still over here talking about his friends as if they exist, but he doesn't know that like they're all gone or something like that. You know, like he doesn't understand the process. Why doesn't he get in the good place? It was hilarious whenever they're like, oh, the good place hasn't had a new resident in over 500 years. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Because you guys aren't making like correct numbering. I don't know. It's funny to me. There was so many ways that they could go with the reason why people weren't getting into the good place, and it would change each time. And I found it interesting by it. We'll see. All right, Austin. Well, I think that basically does it for this episode, unless you have something else you wish to say.
No, it's just the thing is like I'm just getting to a point where I feel like I'm being burned out from the show. I'm at that point. Like I'm at that point, and hopefully they stick the landing. And I think it's good because it could change my perspective on it. Like if I can bear through it for 3 seasons and then like the 4th season's like really good, I'm like, yeah, okay. But not every there's some shows that I've watched that have terrible seasons. Like I just don't watch them. Like Community. There is a season I hate in Community. I love the show, but I just don't like that season. It's just the thing is I'm to a point where I feel like the premise is worn out, and hopefully they understood that when they went into this last season, because this is the final season of Good Place.
Oh, they definitely understood it at that point.
Yeah.
I think the show could have done as a 3-season show. Pretty simple and easily. I think 4 will be fine with what they do in season 1 to season 2 to season 3. I'm fine with it all. I think 4 is a good stopping place, and not everyone is going to like it, but I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, Austin. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Bros and Shows. I will see you next time, where we're going to finish up The Good Place season 4 next time. So Austin, I want to thank you so much for joining me, as you always do, and thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.